Hey there, sports fans. How are you? I am very well, thank you. Welcome to the 10 Yards Back YouTube channel. 10 Yards Back on tour as I come to you from what I wish was my place in the sun. Actually, just Airbnb's finest. In France, somewhere in France, the name of which I can't remember. But yeah, so some frolicking going on in the background, some ambience. You may hear some children crying in the background, just par for the course. But if you do want to listen to those children crying on Spotify, or maybe hear what I have to say about this on X, head over 10 yards back on both of those. This video today is my review of round 15 of the 2025 Betfred Super League. I'm going to go ahead and take these sunnies off so I don't like a tool. 2020 round 15. What a round it was. We'll have a look at what I predicted the fixtures to be over there. So we had Castleford Hull KR on Thursday. Obviously, which way that was going to go. Saints Leeds on Friday. I had Leeds pipping it. Wigan versus Wakefield. Obviously, Wigan were going to win that one. Huddersfield Warrington on Saturday was a little bit more up for debate, but had Warrington just pipping it. Lee versus Catalans. I had Lee, and then Sunday, Salford's outing. That was only going to go one way. That's how I saw it happening. Here's how it actually happened. What the bloody hell, Jim? It's a record round for me. The actual round itself wasn't record breaking. I think 250 points scored across the round, 125 points difference, which is half. That's mad, isn't it? A yellow card, 2 home wins. Nothing super out of the blue on that one. It was, though, I think, the biggest shock round we've had so far. So if you look at some of the results, Hull KR blew Castleford away. Castleford, given the kind of resurgence they've had over the past couple of weeks, just blown away. Saints Leeds, absolutely shocking game to see. I just couldn't believe it was happening at the time. Wakefield beating Wigan. Warrington was a week ago on. But before we go on, let's actually just dive into the games, eh? So, Castleford versus Hull KR at the Jungle on Thursday night. I said last week that it was going to be 32-8 to Castleford. I couldn't believe that they were going to be nilled on home soil. But bloody Hull KR, the intensity was just crazy from Hull KR. I said last week, the Jungle, for some reason, is allowed to be a much shorter pitch than other pitches in the league. Still don't quite understand that one. So they were going to be defending the line a lot, basically, and man, they were just blown away. I think at the end it was 9 tries, 6 of them converted. There's not really a lot you can do about that, and they were basically scoring throughout the game. There was no real purple patch for Castleford, I don't think. Hull KR really had that one. Not really much more to say about that. It was 1 versus 10. Hull KR absolutely on form at the minute. Now, this one, however, I was actually present at this game with a red V on my chest in the middle, which is a selling point for some reason. I had this at 24-6. Given where Leeds are in the table and their recent form, I thought that Leeds were going to storm it, basically. And given the strength of squad that Saints were putting out, no Percival, no Wellesby, no... Yeah, the list goes on. No Whitby. Loads of people missing on this one for Saints. It was kind of just a jigsaw. Sirenen was out. It was just a jigsaw of a team, basically. Who have we got available? Where can we put them? And particularly, I was worried about the wing that had Owen Dagnall and Dion Cross on it. An inexperienced pair in general. They haven't had much time to practice together, but it's Dagnall's second Super League game. I just didn't see that happening. Not when you've got Harry Newman and Ryan Hall over there on that other wing. And God, they just did it. They just really put it together. I mean, Dion Cross and Owen Dagnall both scored tries, quite good, convincing tries as well. So that they weren't chances. They actually did the damn thing. I think Leeds' downfall here was that they just couldn't keep hold of the ball. They played very well. They played very fluidly. Jake Connor's kicking game was kind of designed to scatter defences and to panic people. He was just doing very short, high kicks that took them to about 20 yards every time, about the 20-yard line. And it's a good plan against, I would say, probably like a Castleford or a Huddersfield, someone like that. Saints were a bit scattered, to be fair. It was working a little bit, but I mean, to be fair play to Saylor. He just stuck him every time. Leeds just couldn't keep hold of the ball. Saints, I think what I noticed on Friday was that Saints, I think they can rely on players sometimes. They can rely on Wellesby and Percival and these veterans that they've got to do something crazy, to do something amazing. And I think on Friday they knew that they didn't really have that sort of star quality in the ranks. Maybe Robertson could do something crazy, but he's a 19-year-old kid. You shouldn't be asking a 19-year-old kid to be that person. So instead, they were putting plays on. The scrum plays were spot on. They were actually thoughtful and executed well. Overall, a very polished Saints performance for what they had, and I think Leeds kind of let themselves down a little bit. I'll probably touch on this in the 6 again, but Harry Robertson pulled off one of the premier try-saving tackles you'll see this year, maybe even this decade. I don't know if I want to go that far, but it was fantastic. Anyway, it was old versus young, Robertson versus Hall. Check it out. Anyway, Saints beat Leeds 18-4. Look at this one as well, eh? God, what a treat Friday night was. Like I said, in about 9 months' time, the population of East Hull is gonna boom because this one was also one for the ages, and I do mean one for the ages here because I've spoken to a few Trinity fans, and I listened to the Wakefield Trinity Heritage podcast presented by a friend of mine, and Trinity fans are so pleased with this victory, and I think they should be as well. That Wigan side, half of them are going to be in the England squad, whether it's starting or not. 2 of them, Bevan French and Jay Field, are top try scorers every year. Man of Steel, Bevan French, Man of Steel runner-up last year, winner the year before. So that side is just quality through and through. And Wakefield Trinity were everyone's wooden spoon of the year. Everyone thought they were just going to go back down again. That obviously hasn't happened. 16-10. If you're asking me what happened there with this, I don't really know. Except for Wakefield really stood up, and I think Wigan weren't ready to stand up. There were a couple of individual flashes of brilliance, like Jay Field's last-minute try. At the end there, couple of good defensive plays, but overall, like in every stat, Wakefield were all over Wigan that night. So I don't think this is the end of Wigan. They'll bounce back, but God, this should be a kind of a lesson to everyone to try and keep Wakefield out of that top 6, because if they can make it into that top 6, and then they've got a little bit of time to think about 1 or 2 last targeted games and victories, I think they could really pull something off in these playoff situation when they only have to win 1 game or 2 games. The Wakefield versus Wigan, very good game. Go check it out. Warrington versus Huddersfield. This was also an arm wrestle. I would say it was an arm wrestle. It was different to Friday was an arm wrestle because both teams were playing very well. Leeds and Saints, that is. Wakefield Wigan, amazingly. Wakefield just had the upper hand on that one. Wigan didn't really ever look like winning that game. Scored an individual last minute try. Okay, but I think if you can sort of ignore that from the stats because it was last minute and just say, yeah, Wakefield were all over that one. The Saints Leeds one was a bit more of an arm wrestle. This was an arm wrestle, but it was kind of, but both teams sort of sank to each other's levels rather than raising them. And I don't mean to be too disparaging on that one, but I mean we are dealing with 11 versus 8 here. I don't really know what's happening at Warrington, because they have got Williams and Sneed. Williams and Sneed are each doing their individual jobs. I mean, Sneed's still kicking everyone off the park. You know, I think he got a. Oh no, it was Lola here got a 40-20 or 20-20, a really deep 40-20. But so Sneed's still doing all those things. Williams is still giving his really leading, quick at the line passes to people to break through. It's just not working at the minute, and I don't know why. Like I made quite a bold claim when Sneed signed for Warrington that it was going to make them worse. I don't think that's what's happened. I don't think that's actually come true. I don't think this is because of Sneed. Is it because of Dufty? I don't know. Dufty does bring an awful lot to that squad, and he is a bit of a linchpin. But I don't think you can just blame it on that. I think, to be honest, maybe Warrington, you know, there is the joke, it's always your year, it's always your year. I think Warrington maybe saw the Challenge Cup as their silverware for the year, given where they were in the table. And when that didn't happen, I don't know. It happens a lot with Warrington. Their DNA is kind of just, I've said it before and it sounds mean, but bottlers, to be honest. But Huddersfield took this one and they took it well. You know, I mean, couple of names for you here for the Huddersfield team. George Flanagan, obviously, is just doing an amazing job, a wonderful job for a young lad. Basically, he has scored, him personally has scored 28% of Huddersfield's points for the season. Now, that's not an awful lot of points, but you're talking a third of the team's points has come from that young lad. It's pretty incredible, right? Lola here is also, I think, under the radar, coming really, really good. You know, there used to be a worry about Lola here that he was useless without ball in hand, as in he was shit in defence. I can't really comment on that now, but what I will say is that when he has got ball in hand nowadays, he's almost like the Lola here of old, like for the Salford days. You know, that Challenge Cup final they reached with him and Dan Sargentson playing off each other. Very good. I think, you know, I said a couple of weeks ago, Huddersfield are just about to do something good. I think they're on the way to doing that now. Not sure who Huddersfield have got next, but it should make for interesting watching, given the confidence they get off this. Ooh, the Dragons versus the Leopards. This was a good one to see, to be honest. I had this one down at. It's important to stay hydrated, by the way, because it's very hot here. I had this one down at 24-10 to Lee. It ended up 26-12. Okay, same. You could kind of see this coming, though maybe not through the way you thought it would. I think there were a couple of lazy defensive sets for the Dragons. You know, Sam Tompkins in particular, I'll point him out in defence, not in attack, was pretty lazy. There were a couple of tackles there where, I don't know, maybe it's lazy, maybe he's just, you know, should have retired last year or something. Maybe he's just not quick enough anymore. But there were a couple of tackles there. I think it was Armstrong who scored a try, just like right at the sort of left centre position, and Tompkins was basically there waiting. He just didn't get there on time, and so he sort of did that walk, you know, where you shrug your shoulders, and it's like, oh, I missed it. Never mind, next time. It's not really good enough when you're going through this kind of slump. What I will say is that the 2 tries that Catalan scored were pretty nice tries. You know, you had in particular the Tompkins, Tommy Makinson connection when they pulled that try off. I mean, that was absolutely great. So particularly where they were in the game at that point, you know, Lee all over them to chance and pull something like that off was incredible. It's good to see. So that all that's to say that if Catalans just tighten it up a little bit in the future in defence, I think that they can start to win some back. I don't think they'll get in the top 6. When you look at what's actually happening around that top 6 now, you know, there's kind of like there's sort of 3 teams battling it out for the top 6 at the minute: Saints, Wakefield, and Hull FC. I think they're the ones that are going to be battling it out. But I think that Warrington, Catalans, definitely Huddersfield. It's just too late for them. All right, Salford Hull. I had this down at 10:30, 32-10 to Hull FC. This was a sad watch. It was pretty exciting. So I turned this on expecting to catch the second half, but because of the time difference, I actually caught the whole thing, and I'm glad I did, because that first half, Salford really surprised them. I think, you know, I've said all season about Hull FC's resilience in defence and attack. You know, that kind of wall of black and white. I think Hull FC saw this game as their opportunity to claim some points difference, and they just wanted to score tries at any cost. And because of that, Salford were able to really put a stint in for about 20-25 minutes. It's the first time in, I think, about 8 rounds that Salford have scored in the first half. And it came early in the first half as well through Chris Hankinson. I think that the halftime score was like 12-6, which, you know, is unheard of. Like, it's crazy to say this, but that's unheard of for Salford this year. So they really did a good job there. Unfortunately, Hull recognised what was going on. You know, we're not going to shoot out the line anymore. We're not just going to try these individual plays anymore. All right, let's reconvene. Let's regroup. Let's get our sort of, you know, Sparta shield walled up, or whatever you want to say, and let's play like Hull FC in 2025, and they did, and they knocked it out of the park. Salford, I think, I don't like to do this, but I think personally, Ryan Briley could have stepped up a little bit, because I think so. Salford have got 4 players that have played since the start of the season, which is fucking crazy to say, isn't it? On Sunday we had number 55 for Salford coming on this year. Great, perfect. They've got, I think the 4 players are Chris Hill, Ryan Briley. I don't think Masters is it. Maybe Hankinson. I don't know. They've got 4 players there who really controlled the things, and it was unfortunate that I think Ryan Briley, out of the 4 of them, kind of let them down, because the attack and the defence midfield was perfect. Just for whatever reason, they weren't reading that Hull were going to go down that left hand side a lot. So we had Lewis Martin, not Martin Lewis, and Chamberlain, and who's the centre now? I can't remember. But they were just poking through that left hand side all game, and really you would have thought that they could read it and react to it. You know, on any other day, any other team, they would have, but unfortunately it wasn't for them. 38-6 to Salford. All right, let's have a look at what that does to the table. So it was a really exciting weekend, but not really big impact on the table, other than Leeds and Lee kind of swapping over there. So Lee going to 3rd, Leeds go down 1. So there's no big changes, but this is kind of a marker for the season ahead, I think. Huddersfield are starting to say, listen, Catalans, we're game to climb a few places here. You know, we just beat Warrington, we can beat you coming up. So Huddersfield are sort of trying to claim back some pride, I think. Maybe finish 7th, 8th. Maybe 7th might be a push, but 8th, 9th, maybe it could happen. Maybe I'm optimistic. Maybe call me an old romantic in France. I mean, Hull KR basically, I think, today secured that league leaders shield. It's 6 weeks until they play Wigan, or 6 rounds until they play Wigan again. And even if Wigan win that now, KR are still ahead of them. Equally, they've each got good games coming up, but you just can't see Hull KR losing, can you? They've got everything. They've got everything everywhere. It's good. It's good to see. And like I said, that middle of the table battle. So this week we've got Lee versus Leeds. So that'll sort of kind of sort that one out for a couple of weeks, I think. And then next week, round 17, we've got Hull FC versus Saints, which will kind of sort that one out a little bit as well. So they'll stop chasing each other. There'll be a bit of a pause in that one. So that's the way the table looks. Let's have a look at our point scorers. Can you believe that there are 3 players here, Morg, Kieran and Jowett, who've scored more points than Salford? Artem Morg has scored almost as many points as Huddersfield, 25 points or whatever off. It's mad. Like I said earlier, George Flanagan's come up here. He's now in the top 10 point scorers, which is great because he's doing great things. 29% of a team's points comes from this young lad. It's just mad to me that this is that he's doing this. And I think fair play to him. I think he'll stay at Huddersfield as well. So because he's fullback, a young fullback, I think he'll do well. Anyway, try scorers. Jack Broadbent has muscled his way in there. Matty Ashton's still in the top 10, even though he hasn't played for 3 or 4 weeks now. And I think he won't play for the rest of the season, unfortunately. So he's probably gonna drop off there. But Jay Field storming the thing with 16 tries. Lewis hot on his heels, and Lewis hot on their heels. Try scorers is great. I can't believe Tristan Saylor's still in there. Saylor's getting no love from any Saints fan, from anyone really. I feel kind of bad for the guy. Yet here he is at joint 4th in the top try scorers. I think a bit of context maybe for some Saints fans would be good. All right, guys, that's my review of round 15 of the Betfred Super League 2025. Thanks for watching. If you want to listen to it back on Spotify or X, please do. I'm here from France. I'll try get a couple more, maybe a 6 again, maybe a predictor for round 16 because it's looking like a good one. But until then, and if not, enjoy the week. See you later.